Everybody, it's Chris over at Dixieland Farm. I'm in my car. I just finished lunch at JB's Hot Dog. Was it world famous hot dogs? I don't know. Had a foot long all the way in Carolina means chili, coleslaw, and mustard. And then I also put some Texas Pete hot sauce on it. Delicious. This is another video. We'll call it Sound Device again, right? First bit is clearing up a little bit of what happened in the last video. There's a lot of things thrown out there, and a lot of people attributed some things to what I said, but I didn't actually say. Most of you were very enthusiastic. Some of you who disagreed with me were very respectful, and that is perfectly fine. And then one or two of you took it way too personally and a little bit downright rude, I'll be honest with you. But one of the things I said was about interconnect cables, and people say, well, you know, have you tried them? I never said that you couldn't hear a difference. What I did say was what you might be hearing is slight equalization changes on the different cables. After a point, and I was talking about expensive cable. Some of you were thinking that I was talking about a $2 cable. I'm talking about kind of $25 to $100 cable, opposed to a $1,000 to $2,500 cable, which they do exist. 3-foot cables that are that expensive, 6-foot cables. But what I was saying was electrically, according to the way it works, is that there's a certain amount of reactance in a cable, which is capacitance and resistance and inductance. And all those factors form a filter. If you need to build a filter, you would use a capacitor and you would use an inductor at certain values, and you'd be able to take out certain frequencies or boost certain frequencies. That's what a filter, simple filter is made of. And those factors are inside a cable. So, after a point, that's probably what you're hearing. Didn't say you didn't hear it. I'm also saying a lot of us probably wouldn't hear it. But you might. And that's totally fine. That's it. And a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, a few people were upset. And there's nothing to be upset about. I also said you could have used an equalizer to probably do the same thing. Probably not a commercial equalizer. You would need a parametric equalizer or a specific, you know. That's it. I also didn't say that it didn't matter with speaker cables. Speaker cables, size of the cable does matter, and you do get what you pay for because it's doing power. And the cabling between your record player and your phono preamp also matter because of the low voltages. Everything affects those. But same thing. After a point, you gotta know when to hold them, when to fold them. That's the point of this video. This video is when good enough is enough, right? So in life, right, you're in college, you want to do the best you can. And then when you graduate college, you realize a 3.5 and a 4.0, well, a 3.9 are valued the same. Matter of fact, a 3.0 is valued the same. Let's put it into simple, because maybe some people don't, in different countries, don't know what these levels, I don't know, that's what it is in America, these grade point averages. But, right, difference between a 90 and a 98, nobody notices. Once you get to an A, once you're an A student, your A plus is nice. But is it worth the extra? And some people will have no idea what I'm talking about, because for them, especially, this is kind of an American mentality, you play to win. You play to be the best. You must be the best. But in reality, playing is really what it's about. And you play to a certain extent. Just being in the game, being in a bowling league or a basketball, team, for fun. It's for fun. Some people want to take it to that professional level, but most of us would be happy just playing. So, when it comes to audio, and we read lots of stuff, if we're in the vinyl community most likely, or we're into this stuff, we're into gear, like seeing it, there's a point where you've got to, for most of us, say, that's good enough. The extra bit is not going to make a difference. So I said in the other video, just your speakers are important. Anything that moves is important. I stand by that. Your amplifier is important to a point. And, your CD player is important to a point. I took the CD player out of the equation in my stereo setup. I used my DVD player, used the optical out, and then I used the digital analog converter inside the amp itself to do the rest of it. So my $30 CD player is basically, as good as anything else would be because I've taken that out of the equation. Now, some of you with knowledge will say, well, there's jitter involved in this and that, and you're right, but I'm basically just using it as a transport. And even at that, most of the music now that I listen to is on a digital server, which I have a video either up already or it's coming up soon. So I actually ripped the CDs, and I take all of that out of the equation. So, that's what I'm doing this video just about. I don't want to go on like 20 minutes again, but knowing when enough is enough. And there's a lot of little things that add up to a system, and Tudor talked about it in the comments with me, and I completely agree. Making sure your interconnects are not wrapped up. That makes a big difference, because that can form an inductor, and that would change the sound, or it can introduce noise. Making sure it's not routed, your interconnect cables near the power, having the power separated. Trying not to get the power in a multi-outlet is a good thing if you can. You may not be able to. That's the other thing too. You can only do what you can do in your situation. So I've got a wife, I've got a house and a room where I've dedicated, and I've got to take all of those things into consideration. I could have a 6-foot speaker monolith, like from 2001, but I would lose probably my wife. So there's a compromise, and rightfully so, right? You live in a real world. You have a real budget. You have real obligations that you've got to take care of. So it can't be all-consuming. It has to have a balance. You do all the things you can do. Getting it, the equipment separated a little bit. Getting airflow to it. These are all little things that absolutely incrementally make the difference. And then at some point, you've got to get off the train. And a few of us can't or don't want to, and that is completely fine. But I think what you have to do is keep it all in check. And that's it. That's I'm going to stop it right there. So, turntable, at a certain point, you've got to know I've done everything I can. And same thing with your records. I've done everything I can. Any further is only going to get me another 2% out of the system. And that 2% costs a lot. And if you're just listening to records here and there, is it worth that extra 2%? And for some of you, it absolutely is. Most of us, it isn't. And that's it. Interestingly enough, right, I was reading all about cable burn-in, which I don't think is a thing. Some of you do. That's fine. I can give you a whole bunch of reasons why it isn't. It doesn't matter. But somebody brought up a point. Isn't it interesting that most of us in this hobby who would go to those lengths would be probably over 40, and most people over 40 can't hear anything anyway. But a 20-year-old doesn't hear it, and they'd be the ones actually physically equipped to hear these things. You can go on, but that they don't know what to listen for. But interesting video. This is where I'm going to end it. Is I'll put it on the comments below. Is the McGurk effect. Very interesting, and it'll show you something about perception that, if you don't know it already, is very interesting, and I encourage you to watch it. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching.